marry you.
Watch Marry Me. Jennifer Lopez, Owen Wilson, Maluma, Marry Me. Directed by Kat Coiro. Rated PG-13. In theaters and streaming only on Peacock. Sign up now. Visit PeacockTV.com.
Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Women Who Rock with Success, which is an award-winning show for professional women. We profile a collective of amazing women who are thriving to build their brand. Women are handpicked in various fields who can provide credible information to build your business and lifestyle. We are live each Thursday at 9 a.m. Central Time, followed by our latest brand, Women Who Rock Investigates. To learn more about us, go to our website at www.womenwhorockwithsuccess.com. Now, let's join our podcast host in the studio, Mrs. Diane Winbush.
And good morning on our Central Standard Time zone here. We thank everyone for following us back at the 11 o'clock hour of Women Who Rock with Success Media. Thank you for kind of straggling along with us all day long since 8 o'clock this morning. So today on this segment at the 11 o'clock hour, we're going to be talking about real estate. And this is something that is very, very important simply because of we're not going to say it's a housing crisis or anything like that, but we're going to be bringing information in as to helping you to be able to think like a realtor. We have the expert on line for that today. And then we're also going to be able to help you to be able to understand more the more pros and cons of virtual tours, you know, since we're dealing with the pandemic and a lot of other things that are going on that is digressing, but still some people perhaps maybe prefer to do virtual versus in-person tours. So to be able to help us to understand a little bit more in real estate, we welcome to the studio Mr. Jason Gelios. So good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Great. So we're going to dive right into it. I know the last time that you was on the podcast, you was on a bigger panel with some other real estate experts. So we're going to, since you're here by yourself today, we want you to be able to, share with the audience a little bit about you and why you chose real estate as a profession.
Okay. Well, I'm very excited to be here. The last episode was awesome as well. A lot of great information. So definitely appreciate you having me on. I'm a top producing realtor out of Southeast Michigan. I help buyers, sellers, investors, things like that. I'm the author of the real estate book, Think Like a Realtor, a book about buying and selling residential real estate. And I'm also the creator and host of the Ask Jason Gelios Real Estate Show, which is a weekly show that I do. I put on social media and my website, doubletherealestate.com. So one of the things that I loved about real estate was, you know, I'd actually gotten into it as a loan officer back in 2004, and I had a good amount of success doing that. But as we approached the housing recession, I realized that I didn't want to be on that side of the deal. You know, many times, you know, I was in the office, I was dealing with paperwork and things like that. And, you know, again, I had a lot of fun doing that, but I decided to get on the other side of things. And obviously it was tough because, you know, there was a housing bubble that burst that we didn't feel there was one. And then that went south. It was very hard to do anything in real estate. So I dabbled into general sales a little bit, basically trying to reinvent myself. And I ended up getting back into real estate, but on the realtor side, which I love because I'm out in the field moving around. I'm seeing the product, which is the houses, and I'm seeing how buyers are affected by finding that one house, right? Because maybe we've looked at a dozen of them, and they find the one, they fall in love, and that's just really a great feeling. So I've been on this side of the business. It's 6-7 years. And I love it. Absolutely love it.
Okay, great. So we're going to talk about your book, first of all. And so what are some of the takeaways that you want your readers to be able to grasp from your book, Think Like a Realtor? Because, a lot of times when we go out and we are interested in purchasing our first home, we look at the loan opportunities that we have and what have you, and then, we're excited about purchasing the property and the home, but we don't know how to think like a realtor. So kind of take us a little bit into the book as to some of your takeaways.
Absolutely. Well, so my book is half tips and advice, and the other half is actually real-world situations minus the very specific information, right? The addresses and the client names. That's But I share real-world advice so that people can learn from it, like, certain issues that have come up during a deal, certain obstacles that a home buyer faced, whether it be with them getting a mortgage or something with the seller, maybe something wasn't disclosed. So my goal in this book is that I want to provide people, and I feel that I've actually accomplished this, but I kept it really nice and simple. I avoided jargon in the book. I didn't want to sound too, industry, savvy. I just wanted it to be, where everybody can read it and understand it and be like, okay, I get it.
Right.
So it's everything in the book is in layman's terms. And like my specialty is first-time home buyers, and that's why I basically educate people on the process, because I don't feel that our industry as a whole educates the home buyer that well. I feel that, many times an agent will get excited. Oh, I have a new client, or, I have a potential deal. And they don't many, not all, but many don't slow down the process, especially for first-time buyers or even first-time sellers. We got to slow down the process and say, okay, here's why these things happen. Here's how things go. Here's some advice and helpful information. And so my book, one, I love printed books. I do a lot of digital, but I love the printed books. And so I said, okay, I wanted to have a printed book of my own that I could offer people. And, they can learn from it, because one mistake in real estate could cost someone thousands of dollars.
Sure.
It literally could. Yeah. So, so this is just another medium to get my advice and expertise out.
Okay, great. And so in regards to the show that you offer on social media each week, so this is more like an educational program teaching first-time buyers or those that are trying to sell a house or a home, property or what have you, as to the dynamics of that as well. So we want to talk about that as to how you educate on your show.
Absolutely. Well, so it's essentially a Q&A show. I take questions that I'm asked from buyer clients, seller clients, friends, family, and I answer one question each week. Now, obviously, anybody can post something in the comments if they have additional questions, but I dive into one each week, and I share the expertise I have. Like, okay, here's my take. And I'll share factual information to back the answer I provide, but then I'll provide my opinion on it. I'll provide, hey, here's how I feel about, buying a house without a down payment, or, do you need 20%, or, a selling tip for a house, all these things. So I try to make it fun, and I try to make it simple. I don't want to have too many formal conversation. I want it to be just a nice, if you were sitting down with me and you were asking me a question, that's how I would respond. And I do it weekly. There's a lot of content to share. I mean, I get asked questions all the time. So I really love the format too, because, they can get their answers that they need and play it over and over again.
Right, and that's great. That is great. I know that you had shared that once before with us,
Yes.
and perhaps maybe that will be another opportunity that we can do. We can be perhaps maybe co-mingle a show together on our podcast.
Oh, that'd be fun.
And then you can also bring your those that perhaps maybe need feedback on a certain particular question, because people are curious these days. You know, we got a lot
Yes.
of things that are going on. We have money exchanging, from paper dollar bills to Bitcoin and all kind of things like
Yes.
that. So people are curious about a lot of things like that. And so that I just thought about that. That could be something that we could be able to co-mingle together, basically like
Absolutely.
a Q&A on the podcast, and then you can bring your audience over, and then our audience can also chime in as well and ask questions. That's great. So how important it is to be able to have, because this is something, of course, I purchased my first home. I wouldn't even thought about it, but our real estate agent helped us to be able to be aware of the importance of a checklist. And so we want to talk about that, because a lot of times you have circumstances where people will sell a home, but they will sell it without a warranty. Some will sell it with a warranty. And sometimes if you don't have the checklist and you're not aware you're not technical savvy in real estate, you may or may not be aware of it. So could you be able to share a little bit about that with us, of the importance of a checklist? And then that's the first question. And the second question is in regards to how to make a selection if the home does not come with a warranty.
Correct. Well, so to answer the first question, checklists are awesome. They help you keep on track. I personally love checklists for whatever I do, whether it's things that I need to do for work or for personal life. I write it down, even if it's something as simple as getting milk. And so with my home buyers and even my home sellers, I actually provide them with a standard checklist of the most common items. And, especially for sellers, because they may not be aware of some things, or even, when an agent leaves the home after sitting with a seller, they might be like, oh gosh, what did he say to do again? Because there's a lot of things going on, a lot of information. So if home buyers and home sellers have a checklist, they can reference that. And by all means, that should not, a checklist should never replace, asking the agent a question. But when you follow a checklist, a guideline, it helps keep you on track. It brings down that stress level of the process, because no matter how good things go, the process can be a little bit stressful. There's many gears in the machine when you're buying a house or when you're even selling. So checklists can keep us on track and keep us sane. So I highly recommend that, especially for home buyers. They should really think, okay, for one, especially for a home buyer, they should be thinking, okay, what do I absolutely need to be looking for when I'm looking at houses? What's a must-have? And all that should be written down. It shouldn't just be in their head. And then, having that handy when you're actually going out and, basically doing things. And then your second question, I'm sorry, can you repeat the second question?
Okay, and so the second question is the pros and cons for a buyer when it comes to warranty, when they purchase the home, and the risk that they purchase without a warranty.
Yeah, so home warranties are pretty good if you choose the right one. I highly recommend that buyers, do the homework on that. I don't think a home buyer should actually just settle for what the seller offers or what the listing agent offers. I think they should do their homework and negotiate. Many times that is negotiable. They're just offering the first year. When a seller offers a home warranty, they're usually offering the first year, and then it's up to the buyer/new homeowner to renew it every year for a low cost. Home warranties are not a bad idea. I don't feel that they're gold. There's many restrictions in terms of home warranties and what they cover, and many times they'll want to see your home inspection report if you've had one, which everybody should have a home inspection. So they may look at that, especially if appliances are included. But you have things like the furnace, the water heater. They're going to want to know the condition of that when you go to apply. And so if there's pre-existing things going on, many times home warranty companies like insurance companies, they won't want to cover that expense up front if you're making a claim. The average home warranty costs anywhere from, I'd say, probably $500 and up for the first year to get it going. So I think they're definitely beneficial. Now, my opinion on if you buy a house without one, I think you're okay, because as long as you've had a home inspection and you are aware of what should be replaced, a year from now, 2 years from now, 20 years from now, you should be in good shape. I feel the biggest risk is if you don't have a home inspection. You can have a home warranty but not have a home inspection, and they may question your claim when you make a claim with a home warranty company as to, okay, well, how come you didn't have a home inspection? And that would be a huge risk.
Okay. Okay, great. So before we get into virtual tours, kind of share a little bit about, what the term means, short sale. Okay, so sometimes a lot of individuals, they have gone through foreclosure issues, and some are continually to go through foreclosure issues and what have you. And so once this dynamic is explained to them, they are not aware of what it means. And, of course, on our shows, we try to make sure that our listeners get all the meat and potatoes out of the the guests, I guess, in order for them to be able to be aware of, before they purchase, or even if they're in the middle of a foreclosure and may not be able to, may not even know the terms. So share with the audience a little bit about short sale.
The short sale, yeah. So a short sale is simply, it's when a homeowner says, okay, lender, ABC lender, I need to sell my house. I can't afford to make the payment anymore. Let's say the market will only get me, I'm just throwing out this, $150,000, but I owe $180,000 on the mortgage. So the homeowner shows hardship to the lender, and the lender either agrees or doesn't agree to allow the homeowner to sell the house for less. When a home buyer places an offer on a short sale, it has to be approved by the bank. So the bank may say, okay, homeowner, we will allow you to list the house for less. And then what happens is when you get an offer, you have to send it to us, and it could take longer for an offer to get approved. Now, my wife and I, we personally bought a short sale from someone years ago. It was our primary house, and they were going through a divorce, and they were selling it for less than what they basically owed the mortgage. So they were essentially upside down in their loan. And so we sent over the offer. Yeah. So we sent over the offer, and, we had to wait for somebody on the bank side to say, okay, this is fine. And they did. They got it approved. Usually that's when people stop paying the mortgage each month and they make that phone call to the bank. Okay. So that's, in a nutshell, it's the start of a foreclosure. It's like really towards the beginning of it.
Okay, great. So into our virtual tours, with virtual tours, one of my favorite programs or favorite channels is the HGTV. That's one of the favorite channels. And then I watch the DIY, Do It Yourself. I think that's what I'm saying it right. So one of my favorite programs is Sell This House and House Hunters. And so with the virtual tours, how beneficial is that to a home buyer? Because they can't see, if, perhaps maybe the plumbing may need a little tweaking or what have you, or perhaps maybe it may be some things in the attic may need tweaking. But in this era, due to the pandemic, it seems like it's a growing trend. So talk to us a little bit about that, the pros and cons of that, of virtual tours.
Absolutely. Well, so the pandemic increased the amount of virtual showings big time. I don't remember the percentage, but it was huge. And many people were okay with that. Now, what I've seen in my area of Southeast Michigan was people were using the virtual showings to decide whether or not they were going to place an offer. And then when they were setting up the inspection, they would then go in person. Some of the pros of having a virtual showing is it does save time for a buyer because they don't have to physically go out, drive out, see it, schedule something, collaborate with the agent and see, okay, coordinate and say, okay, when can you show us the house, and all these schedules. The agent can just go as soon as possible, which may allow the home buyer to see the inside faster. Now, I've seen virtual showings tend to benefit real estate investors more and less towards your average home buyer. And so one of the major cons is that the home buyer doesn't get a real feel for how the house is. The number one comment that I hear from my home buyers when I'm showing houses is, wow, this house looks a lot different from the pictures. I hear that a lot. I actually just heard it earlier. I was showing a house. They were like, this is the one. And I'm like, well, let's see it first. And we're walking through the house, and they're like, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that could be different when you're seeing it virtually. So I see virtual showings are great for the savvier buyer, maybe in the higher price range. I've seen more of those, especially in the luxury market. A lot of deals are done virtually. We've seen a huge increase in that segment where higher priced homes, were being sold over FaceTime. But your average home buyers that are buying in the starter home range, like in my area, I say probably $400,000 or less. They're not going to benefit too much or want to do virtual showings as much, but it is something that is happening, and you do have buyers that make offers sight unseen, other than the FaceTime or a video or the 3D virtual tours. So it is a huge trend, though. It's still growing. Where we're at now is we're still seeing people going out and physically seeing the homes more than they do virtual.
Okay. That's fair. So with a couple of more questions, we want to talk about research. Now, I had an opportunity to participate in a virtual tour, and I saw some very disturbing things, of course, and I think it's very, very important for individuals to it. I did. And there were some very, very beautiful homes. And so I think, we have to be careful about the listing as how the seller may be listing their property or what have you. I thought I saw like 5 or 6 restroom stalls in this one particular room, and I think what it was is that he listed it as having 8 bedrooms. I'm like, oh, wow, this is a steal for this right here, 8 bedrooms. But after the real estate agent did the tour with me and what have you, I think what it was basically he had, it was like a former halfway house or something like that, and he was trying to sell it, And so on another virtual tour that I saw, same real estate agent, I thought I saw 2 kitchens, and I said, okay, well, this is okay, and what have you, but and it can work just as long as you have the housing codes up, I'm pretty sure. So that's something that we want to be able to share and discuss with the audience too, the importance of research when we're looking for homes and what have you for the listings. As to the research, that is very, very important.
Absolutely, because I've seen some sellers call a room a bedroom, and in my area it's not deemed an actual bedroom, because it didn't have all the elements. So there's things like that. There's a lot of if you're working with a buyer's agent a buyer should be asking a lot of questions like, hey, what does this room look like? What is it? And there's a lot of questions. Is this an actual house or is it half? I had one recently, actually, last week, where when you look at the photos, it showed a huge, like a second outbuilding in the backyard. And my client had a father-in-law that was going to stay with them. They thought perfect. And nothing in the notes stated what it was. They just said, second outbuilding, good square footage, just needs to be updated. Well, we go out there. Matter of fact, we almost placed an offer. And what happened was we found out that it can only be, according to, because I made a phone call, it can't be livable. It has to be a shed, which granted, it was almost 1,000 square feet. Yeah, it was 1,000 square feet. It had to be a shed or another business or a garage. And so that was a waste of time, but that wasn't communicated in the listing. Had that been in the notes, we would have saved time. So things like that, there's a lot of, it can be enticing to just go out and see everything that you can as a home buyer. But we want to ask the right questions like, okay, is this actually accurate? If a house says 5 bedrooms, but mainly the area has mostly 3 bedrooms, is that really a 5th bedroom or is that a closet, where you can fit one chair in? That's not a bedroom. So, just ask, getting the right information up front can definitely save time.
Absolutely, because even the virtual tours that I was in, they were in some real nice upscale communities. So you still have to. And this young lady was very thorough. She took me through the shed.
Nice.
It took me through the garage, the whole thing, and she didn't try to leave anything out. But I was kind of, surprised a little bit because it was in an upscale community. And I'm like, okay, man, you got 8 bathrooms and stuff. No, you're doing something else and stuff. You had a halfway house and something else going on there. So for the last question, Jason, so I would like to ask, how has this been rewarding for you for your career? Because, what we love what we do. And so it appears this is what you love to do simply because you're trying to train and educate individuals on the podcast, and you have your book that you have released, thinking like a realtor and what have you. So how has this been a reward and fulfillment for you?
Yes, well, I just, one, I love houses. I love property. When I was younger, in my early 20s, my friends and I, we would drive through nice subdivisions and look at houses and how they were styled and, and all these things. So I've always loved houses. I love what real estate can do for families and can really help people build their wealth too. You just can't do that with a savings account earning 0.00016. It's many people have accomplished their goals through owning a home, and I think it's just one of the most rewarding careers that I've had, to see people find where they're going to live, and they're in the home and they're talking like, oh, okay, we can make this room this way, this room that way. To me, that's just extremely rewarding. And then to be able to provide value and people really appreciate that, and they tell their friends and family about what you do, that's huge. In my career, I don't save lives. I'm not a doctor. I don't, but I still think that I make a little difference out there, because again, the real estate industry has to educate more. And I think many agents, like as far as my brand goes, my brand is powered by creating value first. It's not about commissions and all that stuff. All that's nice. That's a byproduct, but you have to really, really love what you do. And I really find it rewarding to give people answers to questions because they really appreciate it. So
Okay, great. Okay, great. So with the last question, we would, of course, love for you to be able to share where the audience and listeners can be able to find your book, and then any links that you would like to share, any upcoming social media broadcasts that you are doing to be able to educate individuals even further. You can be able to do that at this time.
Oh, okay. Well, definitely thank you. So my main hub is it's all about the realestate.com. That's where I have everything. I have my content, my video links, my social media links, everything there. And my real estate book, Think Like a Realtor, is, I'd say the biggest platform is it's on Amazon. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it on Barnes & Nobles, which is bn.com, or on my website, which is, again, it's all about the realestate.com. I have all the links there. Connect with me. I invite everyone to follow me there, on their favorite social media platform, and just to share their questions as well. They can definitely share a question. I can answer it, mention it. I'm pretty approachable. So, yeah. Okay, great. So, Jason, we thank you so much for being with us in the studio, sharing your tips, tools, and resources in regards to thinking like a realtor and, real estate tips that the listeners can be able to grasp from what you share. So thank you so much, and thank the audience for being with us all of these, ever since 8 o'clock this morning. We thank you so much for being with us on the podcast on the day. So once again, thank you so much, Jason, for being our guest. Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
I'll marry you.
Watch Marry Me. Jennifer Lopez, Owen Wilson, Maluma, Marry Me. Directed by Kat Coiro. Rated PG-13. In theaters and streaming only on Peacock. Sign up now. Visit peacocktv.com.
I'll marry you.
Watch Marry Me. Jennifer Lopez, Owen Wilson, Maluma, Marry Me. Directed by Kat Coiro. Rated PG-13. In theaters and streaming only on Peacock. Sign up now. Visit peacocktv.com.